Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥 Sharma.
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis discussion brought to you by ForumIAS for the date 29th of September 2023. So these are the list of news articles for today's discussion. We will be covering 5 topics from society, agriculture, science and technology, governance, and a topic from economics. Alongside this, we will also be discussing 2 previous year prelims questions at the end of the discussion. So with this straight away, let us move to our first article of the day. First topic, a milestone in Hindu marriage reform in India. This opinion section is all about சுயமரியாதை சீர்திருத்த திருமணம் or self-respect marriage that happens in Tamil Nadu. The author begins the opinion section by quoting the Chidambaram Chettiar versus Devanai Achi case, where the Madras High Court declared self-respect marriages to be null and void since they did not follow the Hindu marriage rituals. After that only, the government of Tamil Nadu in 1967 gave legal status to self-respect marriages by enacting the Hindu Marriage Tamil Nadu Amendment Act of 1967. During the 1950s, when the Chidambaram Chettiar case was listed and conducted in High Court, the judges observed that solemnization by a priest and saptapadi was required for a lawful Hindu marriage. So, the High Court declared that self-respect marriages among the professed Hindus were invalid, and the judges observed that the self-respect marriages did not conform to our marriages that were recognized under the Hindu law. And they also observed that the children born were not legitimate. So in 1958, there was another case dealing with the self-respect marriage where couples sought court intervention for restitution of conjugal rights. But the district court in Tiruchi denied the right on the ground that self-respect marriages were invalid under the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. Instead, the court criticized the self-respect movement for such illegal marriages, which in the judiciary's view had led to the denial of conjugal rights. So, taking these into account, the author says these interpretations of judiciary were mainly aimed at discrediting reformed marriages, which were typically like intercaste weddings performed with the objective of protecting women's rights. She adds on to say that these judgments led the judiciary and Brahminic Hindus to demean these self-respect marriage practices. By these interpretations, orthodox sections began labeling women in such marriages as concubines and children born out of such self-respect marriages as illegitimate. Then, in the next para, where the author talks about the basis of the self-respect movement, in that para, now let us know about self-respect movement in brief before getting into the opinion section. See, India's freedom struggle was not merely a fight against the British. Rather, it was simultaneous fight against social evils and a struggle for better society. Moreover, movements like Vaikom Satyagraha and self-respect movement played a prominent role in this and helped in shaping modern India. For instance, Vaikom Satyagraha was a mass movement that demanded lower caste persons to be given the right to use a public path in front of the famous Vaikom temple. In similar fashion, the self-respect movement was dedicated to the goal of giving non-Brahmins a sense of pride based on their Dravidian ideology and their Dravidian past. Now, if we take the significance of self-respect movement, firstly, know that anti-Brahminism and self-respect marriages are 2 important aspects of self-respect movement. This movement encouraged intercaste and interreligious marriages. Along with that, it also encouraged marriage ceremonies without Brahmin priests. Secondly, in post-independence, Tamil Nadu passed a law and became the first state to legalize Hindu marriage without Brahmin priest. Thus, it played an important role in religious reforms. then know that the monopoly of power and influence enjoyed by the Orthodox Hindus were slowly lost due to E.V. Ramaswamy's propaganda against orthodoxy. EVR, also known as Periyar, ensured that his campaign was filled with the sense of self-respect and above all self-confidence to fight against social injustice that were perpetrated by the dominant sections. So even today it is said that such movement in Tamil Nadu was largely responsible for making an effective change in the social life of vast majority of the people. It was done through ceaseless propaganda against superstitious beliefs. Fifthly, know that it was instrumental, that is, the self respect movement was instrumental in Tamil Nadu to create awareness amongst themselves as one community. The self respect movement brought the message of Tamil nationalism to the masses. Finally, gender relationships were actively divorced from Brahminical patriarchy, and women's rights over their physical, sexual, reproductive choices were celebrated under the self respect movement. Now, coming back to the article, the opinion highlights that the Hindu Marriage Tamil Nadu Amendment Act of 1967, other than validating all non-ritual Hindu marriages, this act questioned the Brahminic interpretations of Hindu marriage. Author says this amendment is what caused trouble to judiciary as well as union government. To substantiate her views, she says in 2017, Union Ministry for Social Justice and Empowerment, which was rewarding intercaste couples, refused to recognize the Section 7 Act. Here the Section 7 Act is nothing but the Hindu Marriage Tamil Nadu Amendment Act of 1967. And going forward, the Union Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment rejected the applications from Tamil Nadu on the grounds that these marriages were not registered under the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. Later on, the Madurai bench of Madras High Court had to enlighten the Union Ministry on the validation of the legislation. In similar fashion, last month, the Supreme Court of India had to remind the Madras High Court on the validity of Suyamariyadai marriage in Tamil Nadu, as they were performed without any religious practices and without any public ceremony. However, one must remember that cumulative effect of legal reforms for women in Tamil Nadu had a far-reaching impact on various adjudications of Madras High Court, because it is said that Madras High Court held far more radical perspectives on gender rights in marriage than any other courts in India. So that is what the opinion section has to convey. So from this opinion section, we dealt with the case related to self-respect marriages, and we also dealt with the self-respect movement in a brief manner. So with this, let us close this topic and move to the next topic of the day. Second topic, architect of India's Green Revolution departs. The news reports that M.S. Swaminathan, who is the legendary agricultural scientist and a key architect of country's green revolution, passed away at his residence following age-related issues. So from this article, let us know about the contributions of M.S. Swaminathan from exam point of view. See, in the late 1960s and 70s, the agriculturalist and plant geneticist M.S. Swaminathan was instrumental in bringing industrial farming to India and thereby making the country self-sufficient in food and reducing widespread hunger. India's Green Revolution, as it is known, turned the northern states of Punjab and Haryana into breadbasket for wheat and rice production, helping the low-income farmers. This initiative, through the contribution of M.S. Swaminathan, now dubbed as a transformational era in Indian agriculture, introduced high-yielding cereal varieties and expanded the use of irrigation and fertilizers. As a result, grain production increased exponentially at a time when India was beset with widespread starvation. Adding to that, M.S. Swaminathan worked in the area of breeding wheat and rice strains with improved yields and also trained farmers to cultivate them, thereby helping India transform from a starving nation into food exporter. That is why our Prime Minister also quoted that at a very critical period in our nation's history, M.S. Swaminathan groundbreaking work in agriculture transformed the lives of millions and ensured food security for our nation. Know that M.S. Swaminathan was awarded his doctorate in genetics from Cambridge University in the year 1952, but he turned down the professorship in United States after deciding to return to post-independence India and serve the nation. During those times, memories were still filled with the Bengal famine of 1943 at the end of the British colonial rule, when up to 3.8 million people died of hunger. So he began collaborating with US agronomist Norman Borlaug, whose own contributions to improve food security as well as world food supply won him the Nobel Peace Prize. Adding to that, you should know that after Prime Minister Indira Gandhi took office in the year 1966, Swaminathan was given a free hand to implement a new agricultural program. At that time, India's economy was severely affected by chronic food shortages that left it dependent on foreign aid. But by the early 1970s, the new techniques had made it self-sufficient. Some other important facts about M.S. Swaminathan are like Swaminathan was the 1971 recipient of Ramon Magsaysay Award, which is popularly known as Asia's equivalent of Nobel Prize. For his work, Swaminathan was named one of the 20 most influential Asians of the 20th century by Time magazine. And adding to that, Swaminathan also held administrative positions in various agricultural research institutes in India and served as a top planner at Indian Council of Agriculture Research between 1972 to 1979. He even received the Padma Shri Award, which is one of the Indian government's top honors, in the year of 1967. Swaminathan also briefly served as a legislator in India's upper house of the parliament. Alongside this topic, let us also know about the side effects of Green Revolution, which was earlier professed by M.S. Swaminathan himself. See, despite its landmark role in achieving food sufficiency in India, Green Revolution has been criticized on multiple counts, such as benefiting the already prosperous farmers as it was introduced in states with higher productivity. Fortunately, Swaminathan recognized such issues as early as 1960s itself, while addressing the Indian Science Congress at Varanasi. There he spoke of the dangers of rapid replacement of numerous locally adapted varieties with one or two high yielding strains in large contiguous areas. He observed that intensive cultivation of land without conservation of soil fertility could lead ultimately to desertification. And there is also danger of indiscriminate use of pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides, alongside unscientific tapping of underground water under the practice of Green Revolution. These predictions have indeed become a reality today. He also lent his support to farmers as a head of National Commission of Farmers from 2004 to 2006. He recommended that minimum support price, that is the price at which farmers sell their crops to government, should be at least 50% more than the weighted average cost of production. So these are few contributions of M.S. Swaminathan. So from this topic, we comprehensively dealt with the history of M.S. Swaminathan, his contributions, as well as about Green Revolution. So with this, let us close this topic and move to the next topic. Third topic, inside the digital world of cookies. First, let us know basics about cookies and what is this web cookies all about. See, a cookie is a little piece of text stored on one's web browser. It can identify what sites one has visited, to which sites one goes too often, or even under some circumstances, the details of credit card that one used to shop at an e-commerce site could also be known using cookies. The realization that a cookie can track user information led to the first uproar from Europe, leading to the enactment of new law, which is the European General Data Protection Regulation. This law became enforceable in the year 2018. The GDPR legislation requires all companies, whether European or from any other country in the world, to specifically ask the web users permission before using a web cookie. By that way, these companies could store information about that user legally. This law also provides fines to be imposed on those websites which takes user information without their explicit permission. This is what makes every website you visit ask for one's approval about storing their cookie on one's browser. Now, coming back to the article, it talks about how cookies work. See, just like the club bouncers who recognize regular patterns and grants them seamless access, cookies remember a person's login information on websites. This means you do not have to repeatedly enter the credentials every time you visit a site. So, cookies makes users convenient to use websites. On websites like Amazon, cookies remember customers' previous interactions from products where they have browsed to purchases they have made. Using this data, Amazon serves tailored product recommendations and content, making the online shopping feel like a personalized boutique experience. In similar fashion, platforms like Facebook and Google use cookies to track online behavior, ensuring that the ads you encounter align with your preferences. But we have to know that while cookies offer undeniable advantage, there is a flip side to considering privacy concerns and the potential for data misuse. From prelims angle, let us know what are the types of cookies. First is the session cookies. These session cookies are temporary cookies. They are stored in computer's memory only during the browsing session. Once you close the browser, they vanish. Session cookies help websites remember the actions as you navigate, like items in the shopping cart. Second is the persistent cookies that are digital equivalent of bookmarks. They stay on the device after your browsing session ends. So, the persistent cookies remember the login information, language preferences, and even the ads you have interacted with. They are handy for a more personalized web experience. Third one is the secure cookies that are only sent over encrypted connections. Secure cookies are often used for sensitive data like login credentials, making them safer from prying eyes. Finally, the third party cookies are those that come from a domain other than the one you are visiting. They are often used for tracking and advertising purposes, which can be both useful and at times intrusive. So that is all about cookies from exam point of view. So let us close this topic and move to the fourth topic. Fourth topic, MGNREGA Social Audit Unit in a state of paralysis in many states. The news article reports that social audit units meant to detect any case of malpractice in MGNREGA seems to have failed from performing well. As per the statistics available with the Union Rural Development Ministry, in the ongoing financial year, less than 14% of the amount flagged by the auditors has been recovered so far. So, from this context, let us know about MGNREGA and about social audit. See, the government of India has been running the world's largest employment guarantee program since the year 2005 under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. It has been in implementation for more than 15 years and has delivered optimum results. See, MGNREGA guarantees 100 days of work in a year to every rural household with the aim to enhance the livelihood security of people. The National Rural Employment Guarantee Act of 2005 introduced the scheme, and in the year 2010, NREGA was renamed as MGNREGA. Know that the act currently covers all districts except for those that have 100% of urban population, and the Ministry of Rural Development in association with the state governments monitors the implementation of the scheme. Now, if we take the key features of MGNREGA, firstly, it is a demand-driven scheme. Workers will get the work whenever he or she demands and not when the government has work available. See, secondly, Gram Panchayat has the mandate to provide employment within the period of 15 days of a work application, and if it fails, that is if the Gram Sabha fails in providing employment, the worker will get an unemployment allowance. That is why we say MGNREGA guarantees employment. Then payment of wages within 15 days of completion of work is assured. In case of failure, the worker will get a delayed compensation of 0.05% per day of wages earned. Then fourth factor is the women empowerment. Minimum one third of the workers should be women as per the MGNREGA Act. Then know that wage payment should be according to the Minimum Wages Act 1948 for agricultural laborers in the state. Sixthly, know that the Gram Sabhas conduct social audit to enable the community to monitor the implementation of scheme. Then know that both the center and the states share the funding of the scheme. Since we have mentioned about social audit, let us know about that in brief. See, social audit is a public assembly where all the details of a project are scrutinized. It is a way of measuring, understanding, reporting, and ultimately improving an program's social and ethical performance. See, social audit is a process in which details of resources, both financial as well as non-financial resources, is used by the government agencies for development initiatives, and they are shared with the people often through public platforms. It includes in-depth scrutiny and analysis of working of an entity in which public is involved. Now, if we take the origin of social audit in India, the initiative of conducting social audits in India was undertaken by Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, Jamshedpur, in the year 1979. Then social audit gained significance after the 73rd Constitutional Amendment. Then the approach paper to the 9th 5-year plan emphasized upon social audit for effective functioning of Panchayat Raj institutions and empowered Gram Sabhas to conduct social audits in addition to their other functions. Moving forward, National Rural Employment Guarantee Act of 2005 provides for regular social audits so as to ensure transparency and accountability in the scheme. Here, the state governments identifies and establishes social audit unit at the state level to facilitate conduct of social audit by Gram Sabhas. As a conclusion, we can say the government must fulfill the lacunas in MGNREGA. So only then the government can see a variety of benefits such as vulnerable sections getting due relief, villages getting productive assets, then the burden on cities will also get reduced, etc. Apart from that, it will also fulfill the constitutional duty under Article 41, which talks about right to work in certain cases. So that is all about MGNREGA and about social audit from exam point of view. So with this, let us close this topic and move to the final topic of the day. Fifth topic, current account deficit widens quarter on quarter to $9.2 billion on trade gap. Data from Reserve Bank of India shows India's current account deficit widened to $9.2 billion, which is around 1.1% of GDP in the April-June quarter. It was around $1.3 billion, that is 0.2% of GDP in the preceding 3 months, but now it has widened way more as exports of goods shrank, even as imports rose and the net receipts from services also declined sequentially. So from this context, let us know about current account deficit. See, current account measures the flow of goods, services and investments into and out of the country. There is a deficit in current account if the values of goods and services imported exceeds the values of those exported. That is, we can say current account deficit is equal to trade gap, which is nothing but the exports minus imports plus net current transfers plus net income from abroad. Now, if we consider the significance of current account deficit, firstly, the current account balance measures the external strength or weakness of an economy, and a current account surplus implies the country is a net lender to the rest of the world, while a current account deficit indicates that it is a net borrower. For the current account deficit in India, crude oil and gold imports are the primary reasons behind the high current account deficit. As a measure, the current account deficit could be reduced in India by boosting exports and by curbing non-essential imports such as gold, mobiles and electronics. Now, if we take the capital account deficit, it occurs when outflow exceeds the inflow in capital account of a country in a given year. In other words, it means that the country has done more investments in other countries than what the foreign countries has invested in that particular country. In short, capital account is the sum of net FDI, net FPI, net external borrowings and foreign loans. So this is the difference between current account and capital account deficit. So with this, let us close this topic here. And now let us move to the previous year prelims questions discussion. Now coming to the previous year prelims questions, the questions that we are going to discuss now has appeared in the year 2018. Consider this. First question, with reference to the provisions made under the National Food Security Act 2013, consider the following statements. First statement, the families coming under the category of below poverty line only are eligible to receive subsidized food grains. Statement 2, the eldest women in a household of age 18 years or above shall be the head of the household for the purpose of issuance of ration card. Statement 3, pregnant women and lactating mothers are entitled to a take-home ration of 1600 calories per day during pregnancy and for 6 months thereafter. Which of these statements given above is or are correct? The options given are option A 1 and 2, option B 2 only, option C 1 and 3 only, option D 3 only. See, first statement is wrong because the Act provides for coverage of up to 75% of rural population and up to 50% of urban population. This is for receiving subsidized food grains under the targeted public distribution system. Thus, on a whole, it covers 2/3 of the population. So, first statement is wrong. If we remove first statement, we will end up with option B or D. Second statement is correct because it provides the eldest women of the household of age 18 years or above to be the head of household. And if we take the third statement, this is wrong because besides meal to pregnant women and lactating mothers during pregnancy and 6 months after the childbirth, women will be entitled to receive maternity benefit of not less than 6,000 rupees. And since the second statement is correct, the answer for this question is option B, 2 only. Second question, with reference to digital payments, consider the following statements. Statement 1, BIM app allows the user to transfer money to anyone with a UPI enabled bank account. Statement 2, while a chip PIN debit card has 4 factors of authentication, BIM app has only 2 factors of authentication. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? The options given are option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, option D neither 1 nor 2. See, first statement is correct. The BIM interface for money, which is the BIM, is a payment app that lets you make simple, easy and quick transaction using UPI. You can make direct bank payments to anyone on UPI using their UPI ID or scanning their QR with the BIM app. You can also request money through the app from UPI ID. So first statement is correct. Second statement is wrong because from a consumer point of view, there are 3 levels of authentication that are required in the app. It is not 2 factors of authentication. So one is the device ID and mobile number, then the bank account which you are linking to this app, then finally the UPI PIN which is needed to complete the transaction. So BIM app requires 3-factor authentication. This statement is wrong. The answer for this question is option A, 1 only. With reference to the expenditure made by an organization or a company, which of the following statement is or are correct? The first statement says acquiring new technology is a capital expenditure. Second statement, debt financing is considered capital expenditure while equity financing is considered revenue expenditure. Select the correct answer using the code given below. The options given are option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, option D neither 1 nor 2. See, capital expenditures are funds that are used by the company either to acquire or upgrade physical assets like properties, plants, buildings or technology. So the first statement which says acquiring new technology is a capital expenditure is the correct statement. Now if we consider the second statement, know that debt financing occurs when a company borrows money to be paid back at a future date with interest. And it could be either through selling fixed income products like bonds, bills or notes. But however, both the debt financing and equity financing are considered as a part of capital receipts of the company. So this statement is wrong because equity financing is also a capital expenditure only. So the answer for this question is option A, 1 only. Consider the following statements. 1. Attorney General of India and Solicitor General of India are the only officers of government who are allowed to participate in the meetings of the Parliament of India. Second statement, according to the Constitution of India, the Attorney General of India submits his resignation when the government which appoints him resigns. Which of these statements given above is or are correct? The options given are option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, option D neither 1 nor 2. See, the first statement is wrong because Article 76 of the Constitution provides for the office of Attorney General of India and says he is the highest law officer in the country. Then the Solicitor General of India, who assists the Attorney General to fulfill the official duties and responsibilities, is not a constitutional post. And know that only the Attorney General has the right to participate in the meeting of the Parliament of India. So Solicitor General of India does not have such powers. So first statement is wrong. Then if we take the second statement, the term of office of Attorney General is not fixed by the government, by the Constitution. And further, the Constitution does not contain any procedure and grounds for the removal of Attorney General. So the Attorney General holds office during the pleasure of the President only. This means the President can remove the Attorney General at any time, and the Attorney General also quits his office by submitting the resignation to President. So the Constitution does not provide or prescribe any manner when the Attorney General has to resign. So this statement is also wrong. But know that conventionally the Attorney General resigns when the government which appoints him resigns or is replaced. So the answer for this question is option D, neither 1 nor 2. So with this we have come to the end of the news articles and question discussion. So let us wind up the discussion here. If you understand the way I am teaching and if you like the video, please like it, comment and share it with your friends, and also subscribe to ForumIAS in various social media platforms for further updates. Thank you for listening.